Hey guys, this is Anna Pashanta, and today I want to talk about my motivations for creating the Connector app, basically the why behind Connector. So a few years ago, I was invited to be a speaker at a conference for voluntarists. And without getting too far into what voluntarism is, the basic points are that it's a growing political philosophy that believes that all of the solutions we need in society can be found in voluntary and peaceful interactions. Instead of governments that are really only differentiated from the rest of society in the fact that they're allowed by us to initiate violence. We think that voluntary society is the next step in human social evolution. And that one day we'll look back on these primitive times where we allowed governments to initiate force on us and feel the same way that we currently do about slavery 100 years ago. And so we work towards spreading ideas that will help foster this evolution. And so during my 4 days at this conference, I was really impacted by the feeling of connection that was so easy with everyone else there, because we shared this worldview and the same values. And that made it so that all of our conversations already had this understood, this common foundational understanding that made it so that we could go to the next level. Even when talking about topics that were not necessarily political, it's as if this political idea informs the mind about all the other topics in the human experience. And so after returning back to my hometown, I remember feeling an emotional low because I was no longer in such close contact with these people that really felt like family. And I remember going to a cafe and sitting and thinking to myself, I really only want to spend my time and my money and my emotions with my voluntarist family, my brothers and sisters who share the same values that I do. If I can find a gas station or a restaurant on a map, why can't I find something more important than places? Why can't I find people? Why can't I find people to connect to that share my values? And so I put out a call on social medias for another voluntarist that could help me program the Connector app. And we got to work on it from there. And if you don't know exactly what Connector does, it has 4 basic functions. You create profiles that include your affinities. This might be hobbies or interests, and maybe code words. And then you place them on a map. And everyone else does too. And then you use a search bar to add filter words. And so you use these filter words to filter out everyone else on the map that you're not looking for, so that everyone that's left on the map has this search term in their profile. Once you find someone that matches your search criteria, you can open up an encrypted communication. And then the 4th function is that Connector will notify you of people that are new to the app that share your affinities, Your affinities is what we call your interests, your hobbies. Connector also notifies you if there is a concert that you're interested in, or a lecture, or a class, or a group event that you may want to participate in, and it notifies you ahead of time, even if you're traveling. So with these 4 functions, you can find a friend to go mountain biking with today, a friend to talk about philosophy, a friend to learn how to cook with, a friend to learn a new language with. You can also find romantic relationships with very specific search criteria, including your religion, your politics, your values, so many different search criteria so that you can spend time with someone that's more of a match for you, so that you can create connections of real depth. Also, there are profiles for creating professional profiles on the map. This looks kind of like a resume that you can place on the map. And with this profile active, you can search for job opportunities, you can search for employers and they can search for you. And you could also search for investors to invest in your project. You can search for people in the same field so that you can do collaborations. And then also you can create profiles for the events that you want to attend. Connector is different than social media. Connector is social networking. And that means that we're taking back the social part that is a promise that social media really didn't deliver on. It didn't help us feel more connected. In a lot of ways, it actually kept us apart and looking at screens and searching for likes and these kind of shallow dopamine hits that were not a satisfying replacement for real connection. Instead of looking for these hollow likes and heart emojis, we're now going to be participating in real life high fives and hugs and developing real relationships with friends, romantic partners, business relationships that give us the depth of real human connection again. I believe that society is a mess right now. And I think that the outside world reflects the inside world. I think that society mirrors back to us our own level of personal and social evolution. And the conditions that we're living in are really our fault. And I think that if the individual and families were more empowered by the growth that they could achieve by intentionally curating the right relationships, creating peer groups that really foster the growth that we're looking for in ourselves, I think that that would really create a massive upward pressure on societal evolution. And in another way, I think that these kind of intentional relationships could create a social safety net. Not like the one they talk about where government's going to give you a handout that ultimately makes us weaker, but the ability to find the goods and services that you need in voluntary, peaceful, private interactions will make it so that if the supply chains are ever cut off again, that we'll have a backup plan. For instance, if I was to go to the grocery store and there's some kind of a pandemic or some other reason for the stores to be closed, I could just open up the Connector app and find people in my neighborhood that are selling chickens or eggs or tomatoes or a whole host of other daily goods and services that I need right in my local vicinity, and open up a chat with them in Connector, and even pay them with Connector coin in the app. And you think about these dystopian movies where they show a societal breakdown, and ultimately it was always that people got hungry because there was a breakdown in the supply chain. People get desperate, and then desperate people do crazy things. I think that in these movies, if they would have had the Connector app, they would have had an easy second option instead of stealing from each other or attacking each other or doing crazy things, turning into zombies. They could have just opened the Connector app and found the things that they needed and continued on. The store may be closed, but the longer the store is closed, the more incentive individuals have to pick up the slack and start to create the things that their neighbors need and exchange them for money or silver or Connector coin or other goods and services in a peaceful way. That would really ruin the dystopian movie genre, I guess. But I hope that there is no dystopian movie in reality coming for us. And so these two empowering functions of the Connector app, the ability of the individual to upgrade their life by upgrading their relationships, to find their kind on a map, and to create social second options for the goods and services that we need, will really create a lot of positivity for the individual and for society. And so, if you are interested in finding out more about Connector app or participating in the initial exchange offering of the Connector coin in mid-March, please join us and become part of the community on Discord and on Telegram, or join us on all the other socials. My name is Anna Pashanta. I appreciate you watching this so much. I look forward to seeing you on the Connector app and becoming friends.